on their way coming. We thank you for the entire team that have come to help our community, left their busy schedule to come, Lord, to help us, bless them. And even those of us that have come, oh God, with questions as to how to be a part of this opportunity, we pray, oh God, that we give us ideas and wisdom even as we go about doing the entire process. To you be honor, to you be glory, in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, I'm going to welcome Simon to please come and just welcome everybody and, introduce Joe, who's going to introduce the panelists.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I just want to welcome every one of you who have taken up your time, most especially our distinguished speakers, to come and share knowledge with us. I want to welcome you. I want to welcome members of the community. I see Mr. Yoko and the mother of the church. We just want to welcome you. We are hopeful that the information that will be given here today will help all of us. I would now like to welcome Mr. Joe Gordon, who has been helping us. He has been connecting us with all of the lawyers here to have this fair possible. So Joe, we say thank you and welcome. Please introduce your colleagues to us.
Thank you. Oh, are we on? Thank you for the kind words. I want to get, rather than taking a lot of time for introductions first, I want to have each person introduce themselves as they begin speaking. So my name is Joe Gordon. I'm a private immigration attorney in Philadelphia. I am pleased that all of you are here today, and thank you so much to each of the busy professionals who are here today to lend their knowledge and experience. And we're going to jump in. I'm going to start to my left here, right here, with Lori Alexander at HIAS, and she's going to begin with an overview of this program that we're here to talk about today.
Thank you, Joe. As you said, my name is Lori Alexander. I'm the Director of Citizenship and Family Unification Program at HIAS, Pennsylvania. We've been working with the Liberian community for many years, but if you don't know who we are, we're a nonprofit organization. It's a very old organization in Philadelphia since 1882, working with refugees and immigrants. Okay, so I've done quite a bit of work with citizenship and family petitions with this community, but we're looking forward to this new program. And I didn't know if you wanted us to talk about other things, but I'll just mention that we do provide a great deal of citizenship services, so please feel free to contact us on that. We were very excited to hear about this new program, the Liberian Refugee and Immigrant Fairness Act. It was kind of a shock. Nobody was prepared for this, and it's a great opportunity for many people to apply for their green cards. Just to give you a quick idea of the main qualifications. I'm sure we're going to get into more detail as we go on. First thing is you have to be continuously residing here in the United States since November 20th of 2014 until the present time. So that's going to require documenting that, which will give you a list of documents that you need to start gathering to prove that. To be a national of Liberia, or the husband, wife, or unmarried children of a Liberian who qualifies under this act. You have to be admissible to the United States, meaning there are a lot of reasons why people cannot get green cards, if they have serious criminal problems and other things like that. There are a few things that will block you 100%. Other areas you might be able to get a waiver, like an exception for that. So each case has to be looked at individually. It's not automatic that just because you're here since November 20, 2014 that you're going to absolutely qualify. So somebody needs to sit down with you and discuss your case in detail, your immigration, past, criminal activities. They don't necessarily bar you if you've been arrested. You have to look at each incident, exactly what happened. Those are the major things. The nice things about this program, you could have entered without a visa. You could be overstayed and you still qualify, which is really important. You do not need a sponsor like you would if you're having a relative sponsor you. They have to have a certain amount of income to sponsor you. That's not required here at all. There's no issue of sponsorship. So it's a pretty great opportunity, we consider, for many, many people. I don't know if you want to continue on down the row and.
Yeah, let's get everyone involved. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Adriana Mitchell. I'm a private attorney. I practice in Philadelphia. I have an office downtown. I'm an immigrant myself, and I'm very excited about this new law because it's really like a sort of unicorn. It's a really great way for you guys to get your green card. I'm telling you, I talk to other clients who are Hispanics and they are shocked that this happened and you have this huge opportunity. So I would like to prompt you to take advantage of that and do the paperwork. So my colleague already talked about some of the requirements. What I would like to say is that if you think you are eligible, you have to, I recommend that you still talk to an attorney and make sure that you qualify. Another very important thing is that you can include your relatives. So if you've been here on or before November 20th, 2014, and let's say your kid or your wife or your adult sons or daughters came to the United States after that date, they still can get a green card. So one person from the family should qualify and the other one can derive. So it's not only that you are going to get a green card, other family members can get a green card, and I think this is really huge. Another huge thing is the fact that you're not subject to this new public charge. I'm pretty sure you heard on TV that now there are like more requirements. They try to block poor people from getting a green card. I'm sorry if I'm very political, but I am. But this is the truth. They are trying to block people from getting a green card. You are not on that list because you don't have to prove that you never received any benefits, and you don't have to prove that you are not at risk of receiving benefits in the future. This is really huge, and that's why I'm telling you again, and I'll probably repeat that 10 more times, take advantage of this thing. Another very important thing, from today you have only 10 months left to apply. So this is not a life opportunity. You have a very short window of opportunity because the door will close in December. If you do not apply before December 24th? 20th, sorry. If you do not apply before December 20th, you're done. So do it now, do it fast, especially if you think that you might have little issues. If you had any, I don't know, contact with the police, if you had any problem that you feel like, maybe I qualify, maybe I do not qualify, act now. Contact an attorney. I'm pretty sure, you can contact HIAS. They are like a non-profit organization. You can contact a private attorney. A lot of us offer free consults. Maybe you know somebody that you really trust. Contact them as soon as possible. Talk to somebody, see if you qualify or not. I'm not going to go through the specifics of the criminal conviction that might disqualify somebody. The law says that if you've been convicted of an aggravated felony, you do not qualify, but also talk with an attorney because what you think is an aggravated felony might not be an aggravated felony for immigration, and the other way around. Something that sounds like, I don't know, very benign, very simple to you and say, oh, that happened 20 years ago and it's not a big deal, might be a big issue and might disqualify you. In some situations, you can get excused. There are some ways and still qualify and still get your green cards. In other situations, you might not qualify, but talk to somebody who can help you. Okay? This is what I wanted to say, and I will pass the mic because I always talk too much.
Hi, my name is Joseph Best, and I'm with Best & Associates, Khadija Torres-Singova, and I work on Spring Garden and 9th Street in just north of Chinatown, basically. So, kind of reiterating what they said, this is an extraordinarily unique opportunity. When you read through the statute that was inserted into the defense budget, it's like on page 1,112 to 1,115. Literally, that's kind of where it is. every point of it, you're like, oh my God, they can do that. And oh, wow, they can do this. And oh, that doesn't matter. So say, for example, you were someone who was ordered removed in 2002, and you've had TPS during that whole period of time. Typically, that order of removal would make it very complicated for you to adjust your status in the United States. You would have to file back in court, get your case reopened, you'd have to have the court order vacated, and then you would be able to possibly adjust status in court in a very long, drawn-out, possibly very aggressive environment. You could also be reordered, removed again. Your order of removal could be executed. This statute just erases it, basically. The Department of Homeland Security, which is the USCIS, will be able to just vacate those orders. You don't have to return to court. You will be able to get lawful permanent resident status. Also, the timing for, you need to speak with an attorney, either one of the public attorneys here or private attorneys like we are, someone. Philadelphia has a lot of immigration lawyers. It's very important that you have an individualized assessment of all of your, what we call admissibility, whether or not there are any one of maybe 2 dozen, 3 dozen reasons that you could be barred from getting a green card, to see whether or not they are waivable or not, or if they're among the bases that didn't count, like the public charge, as they said. Also, if you're EWI, if you entered without inspection, say you crossed the southern border, typically that would be a permanent hindrance from you ever adjusting your status in the United States. Here, it doesn't matter. So there's a lot of really great benefits to it. That one-on-one assessment might take a while to do, just in terms of getting all the documentation together. You might have to do a record search. You might have to get dispositions from old, criminal incidents that happened in the 1990s. The record could be expunged. All of that, we need to kind of know that before you would want to file. So because of that, my point is, don't wait until December 15th to try to get it filed, because really on the 20th, that is it. And this is such kind of an extraordinary form of relief. I've been a lawyer for 12 years. That's not that long of a time, but I've never seen anything like this happen. That's such a great thing to do. So please take care of it. All of you people, also, you're here, and you're getting this firsthand, to talk to other people in your community so that you spread the word about this, that it's, you have to move fast. All right.
Yeah, as he just told you, do talk to other people in the community. I've been hearing from some people that they don't believe this is a real program. They don't trust it. They think it's a scam or something. This is legitimate, and as we're all trying to tell you, it's an unbelievable opportunity to take advantage of. I do want to stress, if you have DED, if you still have it and you have an employment card, the cards expire March 30th. So in order to avoid having a long period of time without an employment card, you need to apply as quickly as possible if you're in that situation. You shouldn't let it go, because you're going to be applying for a new EAD card with your application. So you need to get moving on that if you have DED. The other thing I want to stress is the cost of the application. For most adults, it's $1,225. It's a little less for children. There are fee waivers available, meaning if you are below a certain income level or you're getting certain public benefits, you might qualify for a free filing. So this is something to take into mind, and we can all help you do the fee waiver applications. So that's shouldn't be the reason for stopping you to file if you're at low income. Normally, if you're below 150% of the federal poverty guidelines for your family, we look and see how many people are in the family and what the total income is. You might qualify based on that we show your taxes or your pay stubs what your income is. Or if you're getting food stamps or medical assistance, that would also qualify, your SSI. So that's an important thing to know. Should we go into the procedure, how to begin with all of this?
Yes.
Okay, we have a handout here giving you a list of documents you can start gathering for this, because you have to prove that you were here from that time period we mentioned, November 20th up to the time you're filing. So some people are good at paper, holding on to papers. I had a woman in this week who said, I'm a hoarder, I have boxes of documents under my bed, and I said, God bless you, that's like the best client you can get. And the husband had pay stubs going back since 2014. But the list we have gives you some suggestions of things that you can look for to prove that you were here during that time period. Pay stubs, medical bills, tax returns, a lot of different things you can use. But you've got to cover most of that period. You don't have to cover every single day or every single month, but the majority of that time period to qualify for this. And of course, everybody needs to show any immigration documents you have, any court documents, criminal documents, letters from immigration. So all that's on the list. So that's, for us, we're telling people to start gathering everything up and then call us for an appointment for a consultation. So you don't waste the time. You come in with your papers and we can get a better idea if you qualify. So that would probably be the route that we're following. I don't know if you guys are doing the same way?
I would just like to add a little thing. So you have to show that you've been in the United States for this, like you're not outside the United States for more than 180 days during this period of time. And it's in the aggregate. So let's say you went 3 months and then you went another 3 months and you spent a lot of time in Liberia, you might have an issue here. There are ways that we can overcome this, but you have to disclose that and to be honest. And that's why they ask for all these documents. You have to show a lot of stuff that you've been here all these years and all these times. Okay, that's what I wanted to add. Do you have to?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Khadija Toure Sangova. I'm actually first generation, born in the United States to Sierra Leonean parents. I'm a board member at Mount Zion United African Church, and I work with Joseph Best at Best & Associates. I just want to add one more point with regard to naturalization. Again, as everyone has said, this is a great opportunity. If approved, and you do receive your permanent residence through this Relief Act, the date is effective of the date of your admission into the United States. And so typically you have to have been a permanent resident for 5 years in order to naturalize, and effectively you will become eligible really immediately for naturalization. So it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to become a United States citizen ultimately. So please keep that in mind. Okay. And I'm going to talk to you about some other pathways to getting some type of status in the United States. Maybe you've met with an attorney, or you will meet with an attorney, and you find that you can't take advantage of this Relief Act that's here now. There are a few other lesser known avenues. A lot of people know about DV. Everyone knows about, your immediate relative filing for you. A lot of people know about asylum, but there are some others that we should talk about. The first is a U visa, and this is something that, this was one of the very few joint congressional acts where both Democrats and Republicans actually agreed on this. And it's basically a visa that you can obtain for having been a victim of a crime. There is a specific list, for example, sexual assault, domestic violence. We've seen many clients that have been victims of felonious assault, so that qualifies. So you basically have to have been a victim, you have to have been helpful to the police, you have to have documentation of that reporting to the police, and you also have to show that you have suffered some substantial harm, mental or physical, okay? And there's no time limit for how long ago the crime occurred, so long as you can have documentation to show it. And if it is approved, it gives you a visa status, so it's almost like deferred action, right? And so if you get that U visa status, 3 years later you can apply for a green card, okay? So that's one lesser known. Another one that's similar to that is what they call the T visa, typically used for victims of sex trafficking, but it's also used for people who have been exploited in the labor market. So for example, someone takes advantage of you and makes you work 24 hours a day for less than minimum wage, simply because they know you're out of status. That is an avenue where you could get a visa and ultimately apply for a green card. So you definitely want to consult with an attorney and explore that option. And then another option that I want to talk about is the Violence Against Women Act. And this, is for, you see a majority of women that apply for this because they've been abused by their U.S. citizen spouse. Okay, and so that is an opportunity to get a green card, not just a visa. And you just have to show proof that you actually did reside with a U.S. citizen and they did indeed abuse you, and you have to show some level of evidence for that, but not a substantial amount of evidence. So I just wanted to bring those three things to your attention just so that there's an awareness about it. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Joe.
I'm sorry, like I said, I talk much. I just want to say something about VAWA because she mentioned the Violence Against Women Act. If you're abused by your spouse, if it's a United States citizen or a resident, it's called the Violence Against Women Act. But if you're a man and you have a wife who was abused, you qualify. If you are married with a U.S. citizen and he's abusing your kid, you might qualify for VAWA. So it's not just for women, it's for everybody who is a spouse and who was abused, is a victim of domestic violence or even psychological abuse. Okay? Just for you to know.
So if you look at all three of those programs that Khadija and Adriana just spoke about, the government policy behind those is, the idea is that immigrant communities are particularly isolated. And these programs are designed to allow people and to encourage people to kind of break the silence and not be victimized and seek the help of police and seek the help of domestic violence counselors or of the Department of Labor, like with the trafficking, the T visa. And so it's just that's kind of the purpose of it, and they are really great programs, and we've done many of them. U visas are very backed up, but T visas are faster, and so they're good opportunities for people.
We have two people who have had a chance to speak up. I'm going to start with Chris.
I have one. Okay, sure. Is this on?
Yeah. So,
Great. I'm Chris S. Kelly. I'm also an attorney in private practice at Gene Grasso, Thomas Eck, and Goofy. We're located in a similar part of the city as Joe's firm. We're on Spring Garden. I don't have a whole lot to add. I think everyone's done a really great job of explaining this program and why it's so amazing. It's just so rare that there's any type of positive change in the immigration law at the congressional level. Like I know in the news, there's been a lot about the Dreamers and the DACA program, and that was never actually something that was put into law by Congress. It was a policy of the Obama administration, which is why now it's being attacked now that we have a new administration. Which is just to say that it's so rare that the U.S. Congress actually passes something that benefits a whole new group of people and allows them to apply for their green cards. So it really is extraordinary, and people should take advantage of it. I think another reason why people should, sooner rather than later, speak to an attorney is a lot of folks I know who have been here for a long time have been on TPS. They may have actually gone through the asylum process and applied for asylum and been denied. The point being is they have a lot of applications that were filed with USCIS as well as maybe the immigration court in the past. And one thing that unfortunately happens is the immigration agencies like to compare people's applications that they submit over time to one another. And if there's discrepancies, they try to accuse that some type of fraud is going on. So it's great that there is the ability to request your records from the immigration agencies through the Freedom of Information Act. But these requests under FOIA, which is the acronym for Freedom of Information Act, take several months. So the sooner you reach out to somebody who can sort of gather your records together, the better. Just to make sure that any application that you would put forward under this program is consistent with applications that you've submitted in the past. Yeah, I think.
thank you. I wanted to appreciate everyone who's already spoken. I don't have a lot to add myself. I notice if you're taking a look at this handout that's from USCIS, this is also available on their website, it mentions the possibility of advanced parole. Some people who don't have permanent status in the United States haven't felt free to leave the United States, particularly depending on their own particular circumstances, criminal history, or their own individual immigration path. For people who want to use this process to move towards permanence and at the same time open up the opportunity to go home, definitely talk to a lawyer. I got into immigration right around the time Deferred Action for Children, the DACA, and then later proposed DAPA were coming online. Advanced parole was offered, advanced parole was a possibility. There is some risk when you leave the United States and then present yourself again at a port of entry saying, you know, I have this document I got from Citizenship and Immigration Services. That means I can come in, right? And the answer may be, hold on a second, we're a different agency. Let's move you to secondary and we'll talk about this. You want to have had a discussion with a lawyer before going ahead and attempting to leave with advanced parole if there's any of a number of issues that might impact that. So I don't want to encourage everyone to just go out and do it yourself if you have all sorts of possible things that could impact the willingness of CBP to admit you back into the United States before you have the green card in your hand. So I wanted to put that in. And then just as a matter of labeling, I love the name of this act. The Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. And yes, it's you know better than a lot of people have. But finally, like a move towards fairness, a move towards mercy, a move towards the opportunity people who are born here already have. It's been something that people have been waiting for decades, yes? An opportunity for permanence. And I'm very pleased that you are here to hear this message today. I don't want us to just adjourn and run away. We're going to have opportunity for questions now. If you haven't thought of a question, take this moment to start thinking about what questions you could ask on the panel. If you have a very lengthy question, it may want a one-on-one conversation with a lawyer. And I want to also point out that we have present today Joanna Smith. She stepped out of the room, but she's a community relations officer at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and we have her to thank for all of the officials.
Watching, and we try to encourage you to please share the video. It's very important to share the video because this is the program. This is the ALDWO Immigration Awareness Fair. Please share the video. Tell somebody who have immigration problem. You can also post your question, and they're going to answer your question. So wherever you are in America, make sure you call or watch the screen. Make sure you put in your comments, and they're going to make sure to answer the question. Okay? Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all social media. Just step in Lrtn, share with somebody. If you have a smart screen TV, you can use YouTube, and you will be able to understand and ask a question. Thank you very much. Let's listen.
When it comes to number, this play would have been filmed. But I just want to say a very big thank you to those of us that are here that praise is strong. But my question has to do with people that have been here since 2014 up to now. But they don't have the DD or TPS or statute. And right now they want to apply because there are a lot of people that want to apply, but because of information that going out a couple of years ago now, they just give themselves one. Can they now come out and apply saying that they don't have that statute? People that want to apply now, they don't.
Yes.
That's one question. Thank you. Thank you. And let us give it up for our people.
Maybe. And because it depends very much on everybody's history, but all things being equal, if someone is here from the start date in 2014 until now, then they should be able to apply irrespective of whether or not they had status. They could even walk in from the southern border with no status at all, and they should be able to get a green card. Now, if they have any kind of criminal record, that might be an issue. The one thing that I did want to add that we didn't touch on, Liberia went through, obviously you know this better than I do, you went through a gut-wrenching, very, very difficult civil strife and civil war. Anybody associated with any people who were guilty of persecution could be could be barred. That's one of the specific bars if you've ever persecuted anybody before. So sometimes people's political affiliations or being in the armed forces and things like that could become a complicated factor. So you're going to want to bring up any kind of history of any kind of military training or even political activities, because if it was the wrong political party, it might be something that could be a bar. And that information would then be known by the government if you just file, and that could be an issue for you down the road if you've been deemed to be someone who's persecuted other people. Right. So it's a very broad thing.
So another thing, I'll be very short. You still can apply if you have something else pending. Like if you have an asylum pending, you still can apply for this, for example. Okay.
We have more questions?
Yeah, all right. So if the question is already being asked, please don't ask the same question because we're looking at time. Just go straight into the question so that, we can get out of here.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Monica, and actually what my brother said is true. Like, for me, I come from the Manigos society, and we are a lot. I was brave to even come here because some people are saying that it's a trap. Like, people they're about to take people and deport them. So that's why most of us did not come. With that being said, I want to ask this question on behalf of my community. So, because what is going around is like those who came 2014 going forth, those are the people eligible for this new, should I say bonus or something like that. But from coming here, I've just realized that it's like from 2014, like up to now, who I hit those ones, you are eligible. Also, who came here through visa, like visiting visa, are they also eligible? Because I'm just hearing about TPSD, TPSD. Are they also eligible to apply? Like if you came here through visa, visiting visa?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and in a visa status or out of a visa status, if they came prior to the eligibility date with a passport, with a visa,
Or even no visa.
walking across the Canadian border, swimming here, jumping out of a plane. I don't know about fraud, like on a passport that's not yours. That would require a waiver, but even that, there's a possibility. So if there's any issues outside of that, but yes, absolutely, coming with a tourist visa, a visitor visa would absolutely put someone in the eligibility.
Can I get your cards because I gotta go to work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a very good news. That people came from 2014 to now, if you just walk across the border, if you just came, you can apply and you will be eligible. Over there.
Yeah, I just want to say what you said about people being afraid it's a trap. It's not meant in that way, but if you have issues that you don't tell about, they can come out during your process, and then you can get in trouble. That's why we keep stressing you've got to talk to a lawyer or someone professional who can see what your situation is. You be honest with us, so we can tell you if you would be putting yourself in danger. Most people probably would not have any problems, but there might be things in your past that have to be looked at to make sure you're not going to get into any kind of trouble and get trapped. But really, just a gift. We don't get it, but we're happy.
A clarification.
Yeah, one thing to be clear about with this date, when it is November 20th, 2014, it's at least by November 20th, 2014 or before. So if you came here in 1992, that counts. So it's not as if you had to get here only in 2014. So it's at least that long. Okay. If you came after that date, you're definitely not qualified inside the department.
All right, so my question is, if you have someone who they work, like you work for you, and they have complications, and now they're not together anymore, and she refuses to give the person the green card, is that person eligible to apply for this program where they can get their status, because now the wife is saying, oh, I'm not going to give it to you, so they're not eligible now to get a green card, and it needs to figure out something because she is saying, I'm not going to do it anymore. So we just need to know if that's something that would cover people, like, because there's a lot of Liberians, you know, especially men that is in that situation with women, and they can work, they can do nothing, so maybe that would be a helpful thing for them.
So you probably, if you meet the other requirements, you qualify. You also have this opportunity that the Women Act that I was talking about. If you came here and somebody's taking advantage of you using the fact that he has immigration status and you don't, this is a good basis to get a green card through this program that is called Violence Against Women Act. Okay? So it's not only like if somebody's beating you up, if somebody's like torturing you psychologically, if it's using your immigration status against you, all these type of things count. So talk to an attorney, because VAWA is also a great tool for people to get papers. If you don't qualify for that, you might qualify for VAWA. Okay? And it's easy.
She wanted to ask now, come to
I wanted to ask, if you have your citizen, you have your green card already, but you want to do your citizenship, but you lost your green card, what's the best thing to do? Get a new one first, or just go and do your citizenship?
You don't, your green card, this is how I explain it. If you have a Liberian passport, if you lose your Liberian passport, you're still Liberian. So if you don't have a green card, if your green card is lost or if it's expired, you're still a lawful permanent resident, and you're entitled, they have a record of the fact that you're a lawful permanent resident. And so long as it has not been, you haven't abandoned it or done anything like that that would invalidate it, you're eligible to naturalize. So yes, long story short, you can naturalize.
Yes, I just want to add something to this. As we said, we don't need to have the actual card if you've lost it, but many of our clients want to get a temporary card or a new card in case the citizenship takes a long time, so you can apply for a replacement card at the same time, but you would have to pay for it unless you qualify for a fee waiver. So because of the cost, many people decide, oh, I'm just not going to bother, or the citizenship will probably come just as quickly nowadays. Before, the citizenship was taking longer, so a lot of people were applying for a new card just to have that in the meantime. So it's really up to you, but you do not have to have it to apply for citizenship.
Good evening. Let's say if you come after the 20th, like the 21st, 22nd, 28th, are you still qualified for that program? November, let's say come November 28th, 2014.
If someone wasn't here as of the date of November 20th, 2014, like they arrived the next day, there's no period of forgiveness. They have to have arrived before midnight local time on that particular date. Any time before that works. But if someone arrived for the first time in the United States after that, they don't qualify.
After the 20th.
No, the 20th of November of 2014. That's the magic date for this.
21st is too late.
But I would just add, if that person has a family member who qualifies for this program, they can oftentimes be a derivative and also qualify through their family member. So if like you yourself didn't come here before November 20th, but say your spouse or your son did, and they're otherwise eligible for the program, then you can become eligible for the program through them. So not everybody in the family needs to have been here by that date.
Good evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking your own time. My question has to do with if you are here as a permanent resident and you are one way or the other incarcerated, and while in incarceration, your permanent residence status expired. So what's the best thing? You can't find a job to do. What's the best thing to do?
we would need a lot more information. So in that situation, basically in everybody's situation, you really need to sit down with a lawyer and just map out your entire family, because it matters who's a derivative of whom and who has the most direct route, and then other people might, say you miss a date or something like that. So for that situation, if the impact on if you lost your lawful permanent resident status based on the fact that you committed a specific crime, and you have that criminal record, that might be one of the permanent bars to applying for this if you committed like an aggravated felony or something like that. So it really depends on the criminal disposition, the result of the criminal case, and exactly what you were charged with, and it's very, very specific. It's not something that we do a lot of. It's something that Christopher's firm does a lot of, right? They do a lot of criminal immigration stuff. But long story short, you really need to speak with a lawyer. We'll all work with people in terms of giving free consultations to just tell people what they're eligible for, because this is such an extraordinary opportunity for people, and it's very time sensitive. So the earlier, the better that you can get in front of someone and tell them your story in detail.
Did you have questions?
Yes.
Please.
Okay, my name is Joseph Anderson. I report for the Liberian Radio and Television Network. Correct? We are actually live, and I just got few questions. Two questions. I just got that from on YouTube. Somebody's watching it. So now, one thing is, if you have a lawyer already that was working on a case, can you switch to another lawyer if you have some issues? That's the question.
Yeah, I will answer about because of course you can. So you are the master of your case. You can switch lawyers at any time. It depends. I honestly, if you are not happy with your lawyer, talk to somebody else. But sometimes it's just sometimes people have reasons to change. Sometimes I will send the guy back to the lawyer and say, your lawyer did a good job. Maybe he didn't answer the phone and you are upset about that, but he's a good person. But what I will suggest you is look up your lawyer online, Google it, because I'm talking about Liberian community and I'm talking to you guys right now. I recently had a consultation with somebody who came from a Jasmine, a Liberian, and he told me, I'm going to this lawyer. I'm not going to give names, even if it's public record. And when I checked, the lawyer was suspended many, many years ago. And she practicing immigration law, and unfortunately people are still going there and she's still doing work. So check your lawyer. That's my advice. It's a Liberian lawyer.
Okay, we have one more question. If you misplaced all your documents and you don't have nothing at all, or you are on TPS or DED, can you stay, apply? What do you need to do? Because somebody's asking a question on YouTube that they're afraid to go to the office or something, and then that put them out. I tell them that yes, you are illegal. So what can they do? Thank you.
So I hear a couple things in there. One is if you're missing documents and you're not sure whether you qualify, it may still be worth your time to sit down with a lawyer and talk about what happened and when. Now, as far as trust, I don't know every lawyer in the city, but I can speak for myself. Lawyers, registered lawyers, you can look us up on the Pennsylvania Disciplinary Board and look up our name and our office address and our phone number and see if we're in good standing and if we're keeping our license current. We have a duty to you, the person coming to speak with us. It's privileged when you come and speak with us about possibly becoming us becoming your lawyer, you possibly becoming our client. It's confidential what we talk about. So what you say to a lawyer in their office, it's just you and them, isn't going to the government, isn't going to be published on Google, and it is a leap of trust, of faith, that people don't always want to take. This is about your life and where it butts up against maybe the worst moments of your life, and maybe government action, and maybe your fear about the future. But I encourage anyone who's hoping or thinking that they may qualify or wants better information, if you don't know the lawyer yourself and you don't want to just trust the internet, ask around. Someone in your community probably knows someone who they've had a good experience with, someone that they can trust who is a licensed lawyer in the state where you live, and have that conversation about what matters. That's the only way you're going to find out.
Hello. Okay, my question is, I know there's somebody who is presently in jail. He's incarcerated. He has been here for more than 20 years. But while he was here, he did not regularize his status. But he was one of those that was brought here on the during the refugee time when repatriating people to the United States. Now, the first question, can his record be expunged by you or a criminal lawyer first before coming to meet you as the immigration lawyer? Which one is first?
If you have an immigration matter pending, please talk to an immigration lawyer before going ahead with an expungement. So I haven't worked on an expungement myself, but my picture is that you flush the records down the drain and away. And this is a disaster if you're applying for something where you need that record to show to the government, where you have the burden to come forward with documents to show, for example, that the thing that you were arrested for, or the thing that you actually pled to, or what the punishment that was involved, does not disqualify you. If it's already been expunged.
No, it hasn't been.
Right. I'm saying if it had already been expunged by the time they came to me, I might not be able to get the proof that we need in order to show that you're not disqualified. And so expungement is, in my limited experience, not helpful for immigration. It may be very useful in the context of employment, but I worry that are recommended and pushed, including in the state of Pennsylvania, that people will go ahead with that. In every case, but in some cases, losing access to the record and to the ability to show that it wasn't this serious crime, it was this less serious crime, or whatever it was, might cost some people the evidence they need to get the benefit that they first should be thinking about.
Thank you.
Also, expungement might or might not help because, I will give you an example. If somebody lives in New Jersey and has like 2 small convictions for possession of marijuana from 20 years ago, they can be expunged, but this still doesn't help his immigration status because there is no waiver for more than 1 pot conviction, for more than 1 marijuana conviction, because we're on YouTube. So that's the thing. Talk to somebody first, try to see what's the immigration situation and how can be fixed, and then we will refer you to somebody or who can help you with this part. Okay? Chris, do you want to, because you guys know a lot of immigration.
Another question.
Hello?
Yeah, I would just echo what Joe said. Generally, expungements are not helpful for immigration because even if a conviction or charge is expunged, it doesn't mean that it nullifies its consequences for immigration. Pardons are different. In some contexts, pardons are helpful and erase the conviction for immigration purposes, but not in every situation. So if you are doing expungement, I generally think they are a good idea because of like the other benefits. But like Joe said, like you want to find a very secure place to keep the original records because immigration's going to request that if you apply for anything. So.
People with questions?
Yes.
Her and,
Hello, my name is Sandy, and my question is, I hope no one's already asked the question, but it's about a child underage. I know of a situation where someone brought a child during the Ebola crisis and left the child and went back. So, and for this child is underage with, under the care of some family members. How do you go about regularizing that child's paperwork? How do you
The child would be treated like any other immigrant, and you would file an adjustment of status application for them and show that they qualify. Part of what was that?
The child is here.
Yeah, the child is here. Yeah. So basically, the child would need the assistance of adults around them, but you would file the child in their own right would file a case, and it would work that way. One of the things that I did want to say, just to add about records that people have, even if you're missing records, part of our job as attorneys are that we can prove things by finding additional evidence. We can create. You go through life and you create a lot more of a paper and data trail than you think you do. And a creative attorney can find ways to prove when you got here and how long you've been here and when you've left and things like that. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, the person was here, came because of the Ebola crisis, and just left the country and went back to Liberia. In less than, I think 180 days clause, less than 180 days, the announcement was made. If that person come back.
If they got back in.
Yes.
Then, right?
Is that person still eligible for the green card?
I don't know what the effect
if it's less than 180 days.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we can't, Oh, forward, looking at nice.
Yeah, they can come back with a visa.
Yeah, they would need a visa.
Yeah, they can come back with a visa and they've been here before before November 20, 2014.
Right.
And if they were not outside the country for more than 180 days,
okay.
They will be fine.
Oh, that's good. So if you just come into the country today, you are qualified to apply for your paper.
Up front, and then we'll come to you in the back.
Good evening. My name is Lee Marley. Thanks for the information. Because we've learned earlier that even if you came after November 20th and before 180 days, you could still apply. But now it's been clarified. Thank you. What is the way forward if you were married to a U.S. citizen and you've applied for adjustment of status over the past 3 years and immigration can't just do anything about your papers? I mean, like, you've not been denied, but not approved. But you do work legally, and they do renew your papers to work. And what's the way forward? Thank you.
So, one of the benefits of this special form of adjustment of status is that they count your admission as a lawful permanent resident retroactively back to your date of arrival. So not only would you probably be able to, it's just a better benefit. And so your adjustment case in limbo, it can sit in limbo. You still have the right to file this additional case. The statute says that expressly, independent of any other case that's pending. You still you can file this case.
Assuming you came after November 20th.
Oh no, if you came after November 20th, no.
Okay.
No, November 20th it's just a hard, if you came here after November 20th, no. No, you just have to wait. You need a lawyer to try to kickstart your case.
Call your congressman.
And the lady in the last row is raising her hand for a microphone. Thank you so much.
Good evening. All right, I have a question. If you have an asylum case and it's pending, and this new law came about, you need to file for it, can you file while this asylum case is still pending? Or can you have to close the asylum case first?
You don't have to withdraw existing cases. You don't have to lose the other case first. Even if something else is going on that could eventually lead to the green card through some of the other paths available, if you are eligible, within the corners of this program, you can apply anyway. So whether it's asylum or any other path that's on an ongoing process, yes.
Okay. Let me go back. Okay. With the case I'm talking about, after we file for the asylum, And then we filed for the new case, the new Fairness Act. They sent us out to go to court. But now, we're not too sure that if you go to court for the asylum, you get the asylum. But we're sure of this new act that just came up. So we got a little bit confused. So we went back to the lawyer and told him, look, this is the situation. What do we do? You know, we don't want to go to court because if we go to court and then they deny us, then we have to pay an extra money to go to no. We have to pay extra money to see the judge. Because we have to be waiting for the judge. That will cost us a lot of money. So we don't want to go to court. We don't want to go to this hearing. We just want to go straight with the new law. So can we do that?
There's something really important that you have to avoid. You need to show up at court. You want to avoid it's called an in absentia order, which would be an issue. And it would be a basis of inadmissibility, and I don't believe that it's waivable. So you would want to you can simultaneously pursue your court case and simultaneously pursue this with the Immigration Service, and both should be able to work. The judge should be able to allow you the guidance from the Department of Justice that controls the immigration court says that it should go on what's called the status docket, your court case, while you pursue this other route. So you can't just ignore the court case because they'll just order you removed when you don't show up, and that's going to be an issue for you getting this kind of relief. So you need a lawyer and you need to deal with both at the same time. Right. But the answer almost always is yes, try to pursue this extraordinary form of relief if you're eligible.
All right, before I go to the lady up there, this question, I don't think it was clear because while I'm going through, the question keep coming up and keep coming up. So the question is, are you eligible if you came here 2015, 16, 17, up to now, or just 2014, the year, for the Fairness Act?
So just to be clear, you have to have been here for 5 years. If you came after November 20th, 2014, if you came on November 21st, 2014, you do not qualify. If you've been here before this November, you are fine. If you've been here since 1990, you are fine. If you came November 21st, 2014, unfortunately, you do not qualify. Okay, is that clear?
So you have to be here by the point.
You must have this 5 years basically here.
So, all right, because they keep asking, like somebody said, I came here in 2015, can I file? No. No, okay.
Thank you, even I'm Kim Clark. A situation like if you have a foster parent and you came to the U.S. and your biological parent is eligible for this program and you that have this foster parent, you don't fall under the category, are you eligible? Since your biological parent is eligible for the program and you, thank you. Am I clear enough?
Your question is clear as far as it goes, but already I hear us lawyering up here and saying, I'm not sure, it depends. So one answer is, for that situation, sit down with a lawyer and let's look at and talk about when were you living with your biological parent, when were you living with a foster parent. Even if there's no adoption in there, that would cut the relationship connection with the biological parents. We might not have enough information yet. It makes it we're talking now about a specific and personal case, so it might not work well to talk about it as a generality.
Yeah, I asked that question based on a situation and scenario that we have been confronted with, and I was just making my own suggestion. I'm not a lawyer. I was just telling the person that for the fact that you were adopted or have a foster parent, and now your biological parent, which could be your mother, is eligible for this program. I was telling them that I think it can be pursued because the fact is DNA proves your parent. So that was just my advice to the person. So that was the reason why I brought up the questions that I just need clarity.
It's a very good question, but it's, as we said, it's a little more complicated. Adoption really cuts the rights of the child to that parent. Foster is different, but we don't know whether the parental rights ended for some reason when they got the foster care. We'd have to look a little more about the relationship. Adoption will probably not work. But the other option, yeah, even if you're approved with DNA as your biological parent, once you're adopted by someone else, you have no rights to any benefit of that biological parent. Okay, but that would have to be looked at much more carefully to see if you qualify as a foster child. Yeah, I mean, once it's been done, it's been done. But you have to see maybe there wasn't a formal adoption. Have to look at it more carefully.
There's actually very technical requirements for who is considered a child of an individual and who is considered a parent. And even biological parents, when there hasn't been an adoption of a child to another person, like a third party, can sometimes not be considered the parent of that child, particularly in the case of like fathers. So with, you know, complex family situations, it's definitely a situation where you want to consult with a lawyer, go through the relationships and establish who is under the immigration laws, the father of the child, who is the mother of the child, who can derive what benefit under the immigration laws through, you know, those relationships. So.
I have the sense that we haven't exhausted your curiosity, but we have been sitting here for about an hour or so. I think we're going to end this formal question time, and those of us who are comfortable standing up are going to stand up. And if you want to come forward and address questions to individuals here, we're going to do one last.
I would just humbly appeal that I be the last one, if you will. Thank you very much. First of all, let me extend my thanks and appreciation to you all, well-landed individuals, for affording us this opportunity to understand exactly what this act is all about. Because I was in a state of confusion at some point in time that if I had already commenced a process with a lawyer and this happened to come into being, should I withdraw that process, the earlier process, and move on to this one? But that was actually clear, that was made clear, all right? Then the question is, if I were denied the asylum a couple of years back, and I'm still in the United States, and is a beneficiary of the TPS and or the DED, am I qualified? Am I eligible to apply for this new act? If I do not, of course, have any, criminal background that will hinder my eligibility.
So basically, if you were denied asylum and ordered removed, depending on why you were denied asylum, most likely, if you were denied asylum because you didn't show enough evidence of persecution, for example, then that would not be a big deal at all. If you were denied asylum because they said your claim was frivolous or that you committed fraud or something like that, that could raise other issues. So again, just kind of brings up, you're definitely eligible to apply. You just need to explain to someone the background facts of your former asylum case and how that would work. Yeah, that's basically it. You just have to talk. You really have to talk to the lawyer.
All right, before you, somebody want to say something?
Yeah, just finally, you should know that there's proposed regulations. USCIS intends to increase fees. It has not been made official yet, but you should know that the longer you wait to adjust your status or to apply at least, the higher the chances that they're going to increase these fees. So it's already what, $12.25?
Yeah, they want to double it.
And they want to almost double that. So, so just want to make sure that you're aware time is of the essence. Okay? Thank you very much.
All right, before you move to the table and ask individual questions, I have Sandy, your specific case. We have the team there, and we also have Juana from Ms. Smith. Also, she's here. She'll be able to answer all your questions. So everybody can do it, but we want to close this session. So I will have Sandy just close the session before we can do our individual questions.
Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate all your time and effort. Can you please give them a hand clap? This was very important, and I hope this helped a lot of people, a lot of our Liberians around here who are sitting here today and who are watching. So this was sponsored by ALDO. ALDO is the All Liberian Diaspora Women Organization. This organization was developed from the idea of having Liberian women inclusiveness and diverseness within the community and globally. So our mission is to empower women and enhance the lives of women to all aspects of their life, health-wise, education, legal services, social welfare, and legal representation that will liberate women from poverty and any form of abuse. Okay, so and all is being done through partnership with all other women or all other organizations, and you can become a member of this organization also. We will continue to do this. People are requesting, like I heard someone saying, people were very afraid that if they come to get arrested, we wouldn't bring our own people here to arrest them. I don't know why, but I'm happy for those who came and the message is out there. So we will do another session, because this is DED is expiring March 30th. March 30th. And TPS and Ebola will move on to the end of, to April 20th, right? Of 2020, or before April 20th. The rest of the people, or by December. What's the deadline for?
December is the deadline.
December is the deadline. So this is important. I know Liberians like last minute to time thing, but please come. We will do more sessions, and and we are also having a conference in August, the Outdoor Women Conference. It has speakers from various aspects of our lives. Child abuse, healthcare, education, and everything. I have the cards here. I will divide it with you all. I want to thank you for coming. Now you can go individually and ask the questions. Thank you, Joe, for organizing this and everything else. Thank you.
Pastor want to say one thing. So Pastor Simway, please come up and say something. We want to tell everybody thank you for coming. It has been such a long day. We say thank you to everybody.
Yes, I just want to comment on what the elder there, the deacon said concerning people being afraid, all right, in our community because of this. It was a trap. That comes back to us Liberians, all right. We thank God for the team that took upon themselves to come. We know how this country is basic, all right, and everything that they're doing here is supposed to be money, but they did that for us. To come to bless us, to show us how blessed. All right, so now for those of you that are watching us, I want you to go back again, like she just said, this meeting will be organized again. Do not be afraid, because this is what happening to us Liberians, that every opportunity comes and we don't take advantage of. So whenever there is a message sent out, I think we believe that nobody will want Liberia. I've told people that if I have my own will, I would take a cargo plane, land it on Broad Street, and let everybody get on board and come to the United States. What I'm saying is that it is an opportunity. There are many people who are supposed to be here tonight, but they are not here. But we again apologize and appeal to our team to come as they always they're helping us so that we can have a large number of people so that they can benefit from this. Thank you.
All right, before we close, we want to tell our TV crew that is here that been helping us, the Lrtn TV. We want to say thank you very much, and we want to say a big thank you to Joe because Joe was the one that really coordinated this. So please give Joe a hand clap while he's here. He's really coordinated for us. And Joe, in turn, will tell his team thank you.
I think I'll thank them and give a gift to everybody by being very brief. I want to thank each and every one of you for what you brought today, and thank you for making the sacrifice to be here. Thank you.
All right, we can call one-on-one question, and you can come to the paper. Okay, all right, we'll do a picture too. We want to do a picture. And you have the individual question. There are papers here. We have the signing sheet. If you have the CPA and DD going to expire, we have the papers here. Please sign in. Come on, they want to do a picture. Yeah, please do a picture. We want this special picture. Yeah, come on, please come on.